Welcome to therapy. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rosa, aka Therapy, and in today's video I'm going to show you guys how I created this cute, quick, protective style using one pack of hair and one pack of the curly hair. And I added some accessories and boom, I am ready for the week. I'm still working on my feed-in braiding, so you'll see some fuzz in some areas, but hey, it's natural hair. It's not supposed to be perfect. And yeah, I mean, you can't beat free. If I get a little frizz, but I didn't gotta pay for it, I mean, you can't beat that, right? So if you're interested in seeing how I created this video, please keep watching. And if you're not subscribed to my channel, you might as well hit that subscribe button for me too as well. Alrighty. I wanted to show you guys the products I used. I used this thick moisturizing cream by Moisture Love. I used their oil as well to oil my scalp. And I also used this edge control by Style Factor to make my braids look nice and neat and to slay my edges. And so now I started off the style by parting my hair right down the middle the best that I can. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then you'll also see me use a mirror to try to get a better view of the back of my hair and making sure that the part looks the best as it can. So now you're going to see me start to part that middle section for the braid that goes right in the middle of my head. And that's what you see me do, kind of make a little sliver on this side, and then I'm going to make another equally sized sliver on the other side, and that is what I'm going to braid up to start the style. So I have that area sectioned off. I'm going to oil my scalp before I braid it up. I'm also going to be adding that moisturizing cream to this section and then finishing it off with some edge control so that the braid and the parts look as neat and as smooth as possible, and brush that in. And now I am ready to braid this section up, starting from that middle part and then working my way towards the edges of my hair. Speed it up a little bit, and then once I get to the edge of my hair, I'm going to split that into two sections now so that it looks nice and neat. And that section is going to go into that braid when I do it, and we're going to start working with this one. So I'm just going to braid it a little down a little bit further so that it can kind of meet the area where my feed-in braid is going to start. To that length, I'm going to prep that side of my hair to braid. So first thing I did was to make sure that it's nice and detangled. I am adding edge control to the perimeter and the middle of my head to make sure that the braid is nice and slick down and smooth, and it looks as neat as possible. And I'm using my brush to help smooth that down. Also going to lay my edges down, make sure they look nice. And then a pro tip, this is a water-based edge control. So a pro tip that I use sometimes when I need my edges to dry up quickly and fast is to just blast them really quick on cool with my blow dryer, which you'll see me do here. And then I'm going to add some oil to my scalp and the moisturizing cream to my hair and work that in and detangle one more time with a wide tooth comb. And then we are ready to braid this sucker up. it's already stretched. I'm going to separate my hair so that I can just grab it as I add it in. I definitely recommend that you don't skip this step and you pre-separate the hair so that while you're braiding, it just makes it an easier process. You can just pick up the pieces as you need them versus stopping and separating it each time you need a piece. So that is what I'm doing here. So once that's all separated, we are ready to get started. So I am braiding that section of hair down a little bit more so that it can meet up where the feed-in braid is going to start. So I am braiding it into that section of hair now, about 1 or 2 times. And this is, I believe, where I start to add where I start to feed in the hair. So basically what you do is you take the strand of hair and you kind of make a loop. And you're going to loop that hair onto that, I'm going to call it anchor finger, that holds the braid and holds those sections of hair and separates it as you braid. I'm going to call that finger the anchor finger. So basically you are latching on the loop of hair to that anchor finger so that one side of the hair goes into that, mixes into that first section right there, which you see me doing, and then the other part of that strand of hair goes into the second section of the braid. And that's kind of what conceals the hair so that you can't really see where it's being added. And this process takes practice and time, especially if you are not an experienced braider. So expect to get frustrated, expect to have to detangle the braiding hair like you'll see me do plenty of times. But I'm just going to, I think I'm going to zoom in here so that you guys can really get a better view. So I am latching that hair onto my anchor finger and then continuing to just braid. If you get down the technique of how to feed the hair in, it's really simple if you know how to braid. It's just a matter of figuring out where to feed that hair into so that it goes in there with no problems. So with this style, I want to say I fed about 5 or 6 strands of hair at the beginning, and then it was starting to get a little bulky with my hair and the braiding hair, so I'm gonna braid that. I'm gonna stop at that about 6 strand that I feed in and just braid down to the nape of my hair, and that's when I end up adding more hair in, which you guys will see. So now we are at the nape of my hair, and at this point I is tired, my arms are hurting, but we're almost there. So as you can see that
since I didn't add any more hair in after that last point, the braiding hair is pretty short right here, and this is where I start to add in a couple more strands, or I start to feed in a couple more strands of hair so that I can get that length that I want. I will say feeding hair into a regular, like at this point it turns into a regular braid, it's not a corn roll anymore. So feeding hair into a regular braid is a lot easier than feeding it into the corn roll. So if that's something you struggle with, maybe practice with feeding it into just regular braids first so that you can get the concept down packed first. So I am feeding in, I think I fed in an additional maybe 4 pieces of hair. I didn't want the braid to be super thick, but I also wanted it to be, you know, realistic and a nice length. Once I got down to basically the end of the braid, I got 2 strands of that curly braiding hair, and I fed that into the ends just so that it looked a little bit cuter than just leaving the straight tapered ends. I didn't want to burn it, I didn't want to dip it because this style was only supposed to be in for a week, but I ended up putting a rubber band at the end, and it did the job. And I didn't really get a good angle of me adding the hair in. Yeah, so I apologize. I just wanted my hair to be done and taken care of, and I didn't have to worry about it. So if you feel like this video was not detailed enough, or you want a more detailed video about feeding in hair or feeding in cornrows, feeding hair into cornrows, then comment down below and I can get that out to you guys.
Anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have any questions about how I created this style or any of the products that I use, please leave them down below and I'll be sure to answer them. And I will see you guys in my next video.